I'm telling you, man, Texas isn't as good as we think. Alabama's worse than we originally thought. That's all there is to it. The way Florida beat you, that's what would have me panicking. I told you after week 1 I'm going on the redemption tour. Give me my credit and respect. Wow, man, oh man, that's all I know to say. What a bizarre, strange, crazy, and overall a weird weekend of college football. Hold on. Let me pull it up. Yeah, right here. Nathan on one of the previous live reaction videos, because you know we do the live reactions after some of the big time games. He stated, craziest year of college football ever. And you know what's funny about that statement? It seems like the past 2 or 3 years, we've said that every single year, but it also holds true. I don't think we're over-exaggerating it. I feel like every year since 2021, where Alabama had that dominating run, every year has been crazier and crazier and crazier. I don't know, maybe that's just me, and I also tried telling y'all in the offseason, this year, it's going to be insane. Why is it going to be insane? Because there's parity now in college football. It's coming back, slowly but surely. The days of just having Alabama, Clemson, and a good SEC team here or there dominating the sport year in and year out, those days are over. We are now legitimately turning into college basketball where any team can beat anybody. And we saw it this weekend, and what's so great about weeks like this is because no, we didn't have a great slate of games. It's week 3. We all know this. It's the week before conference play. There's not too much to look forward to. But, and I have a really big but, these are normally more times than not when we see some sneaky good games, and that's what happened. And I stated this in one of the live reactions. It's so funny to me because all these casuals that are just now tuning in because of Coach Prime and Deion Sanders, they're like, oh, what's going on? Why is Boston College giving Florida State a hard time? Why is Texas struggling with Wyoming? And why is Georgia down by 10 against South Carolina? Us, the people part of our community, we know the reason to that, but to the casuals that might be tuning in, I'm going to offer you an explanation. Welcome to college football. This is college football. It's hard to get these young guys to turn up every single week. And it's why the sport's so amazing. You're going to have Texas go out here 1 week ago, look like the best team in the country, beat Alabama by double digits at home. Then you see them the following week struggle at Wyoming. You can't make this crap up. In today's Sunday recap, we don't have a lot of games to talk about, but the games we are going to talk about, they were interesting to say the least. You know what we're going to do in this video, man. I shouldn't have to explain it. We're going to recap the games. It's simple. And real quick before I forget, we are on the road to 300 subscribers. Clap it up. Our community just steadily growing, man, and I can't thank you guys enough. It's so awesome and humbling to be a part of a community of people that love college football as much as myself. And if you want to be a part of our community, help us reach our goal of hitting 300,000 subscribers, consider subscribing. We love to have you here. Subscribing really helps out the channel, and here's the kicker to it. It's 100% free, and if you decide in a couple of weeks you hate my videos, you can always unsubscribe later. It's no big deal, but all right, man, blah. Shut the crap up. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so first things first, on that brand new around here, you know how we like to start things out with our 11 a.m. games first. And man, by my surprise, we had a great game with Boston College and Florida State. The Cinnamon Rolls. I was shocked. Flabbergasted to say the least. I mean, we didn't even preview this game, guys. I just assumed the Cinnamon Rolls were going to go in there and completely dominate, and that wasn't the case. They got lucky to win this game, actually, when you think about it. I watched this game from start to finish, and it was just one of those typical weird 11 a.m. games. And the weird part about it to me is I don't think Florida State played a terrible game. I just thought Boston College, they gave them their best shot. And that's how it goes. And you have to understand something, guys. When you have a team like Boston College, who already has one loss, they probably won't make a bowl game this year. Florida State is their Super Bowl. They are going to give Florida State their A+ game. And I will say Boston College had a good game plan. They played to their best abilities. But the thing that just killed them in this game was the penalties. Good gosh almighty. I just couldn't get over it. The fact that Boston College almost had a shot to win this game with all the middle mistakes, mind-blowing. This isn't a joke, guys. Boston College had 18 penalties. 18 for 131 yards. And it could have been more because Florida State wound up declining a few of those. Take away 8 of them. If they only had 10 penalties in this game, they probably would have won. And also to combat that, the reason you're looking at it like, oh, well, why did BC only have 29 points? Because they missed an extra point after a touchdown. Then they went for 2 on the next touchdown and they didn't get it. Essentially speaking, if they had just made the extra point, this game should have been 31-31. Now, that's not to say that Florida State wouldn't have drove down the field and had a game-winning field goal or touchdown, but you never know. My point is, in this ball game, Boston College, yes, they did a lot of great things, but they also beat themselves at home. home. Very shocking game, and if I was a Florida State fan, I'd just be disappointed in my team not coming out with a fire lit inside of them. I get it, trust me, I get it 10,000%. It's 11 a.m. and you're playing Boston College. Who cares? It's so hard to get hyped for a game like that. But to me, at least, it shouldn't be that hard to get hyped up for it. This is college football. You only have 12 regular season games. Every single game matters, especially when you're trying to make the playoff. This could have been a terrible loss, but fortunately enough, you escaped. And we all know this. Every single team, every championship contender always has a game like this throughout the regular season. Hopefully for Florida State, this is that one game and you don't have any more. I guess we'll have to wait and see, but this was the Florida State I expected to see before the season started. A team that was overrated, and that's how they played in this game, overrated. Wasn't good from them whatsoever. Moving along here, also at 11 a.m., I was disappointed in this game because I thought it was going to be better. We got Illinois and Penn State. This game wasn't a game whatsoever. Not going to talk about it too much because Illinois just beat themselves. They had, 4 interceptions? Look, man, you're playing a top 10 team, and you have 4 interceptions, you're not going to win. It's as simple as that. Penn State, did they play great? No, but they did good enough to win the game. It just came down to this. Penn State was like, yeah, we're just going to rely on the defense, and that's all they had to do. It was your typical sluggish Big Ten game, and also another game that I was extremely disappointed in because, yeah, as a fan, I was expecting this game to be a little bit closer. LSU and Mississippi State. What in the crap happened? I knew LSU was going to win the game by 14 or probably 20-something points, but for them to just go out there and completely curb stomp Mississippi State, that sucks. At least sucking to watch. I want to see close games. And Mississippi State, it's not like they're a bad team, but this game is more so of LSU is the real deal. And if I'm an LSU fan, I get it. You're coming off that terrible loss to Florida State, but you got to be pleased with this team, how they responded. They're looking good, man. They're looking good. And probably, and we'll get to this in a different video, they're the front runners to win the SEC West. I mean, take a look at this. Jaden Daniels, 30 for 34, 360 yards, 2 tutties, nearly perfect QBR. He couldn't have played any better. He's a baller, man. He's a baller. And last but not least, probably the best 11 a.m. game. We got K-State and Mizzou. Wow. Well. I was wrong about this game because I thought Kansas State was going to blow them out, but I was highly mistaken. Missouri won this game in crazy fashion. They had that, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but they had like that. I think they label him as like the thicker kicker. He made a 61-yard field goal. What the crap? When I saw they were lining up for the field goal, I was like, what in the world are they doing? 61 yards, but then I remembered. I was like, wait a minute. They still got that Mevis kid, don't they? And yep, turns out Mevis, I swear, Mevis has been there for like 9 years. Somehow, someway, he is still there, and he made a 61-yarder. What about that? That dude's arguably the best kicker in the country, and man, what a win for Mizzou. They're sitting pretty at 3-0. That was a shocking game to me. I just thought K-State was going to win. That's it for the 11 a.m. games, and what's so funny about it to me is I thought the 11 a.m. games were going to be the worst games, but they turned out to be the best. Moving along here to 2:30, we had 2 good games, and I can't believe these words are about to come out of my mouth. Alabama and South Florida, and Georgia and South Carolina. The Georgia-South Carolina one, yeah, we expect that. But South Florida and Alabama? Come on, man. Look, man, as a Bama fan, and like I said, we'll talk all about this all throughout the week. It was embarrassing, to say the least. This was the worst Alabama's looked since Alabama played Louisiana Monroe in 2007. Whew, man, it was rough. It was a rough watch. The only bright side out of this game is Alabama's defense did look good. That's the only bright side you can take out of it, and I know what everybody's going to say. Well, Matt, you played South Florida, and I understand that perspective as well. That's one of the bright sides, and the storyline to this game is Alabama quarterback situation is still awful, and we got more question marks after this game than we did after the Texas game. And it's not just the quarterbacks, although they were terrible. It's everybody. This Alabama offense is one of the worst offenses I've ever seen under Nick Saban. Quarterback situation is terrible. We know this, but we can't block. And if you can't block, you know what that means? We can't run. Yeah, we busted off a couple late in the game against South Florida, but for the most part, South Florida's front seven dominated our O-line. And I'm going to say it again. It is embarrassing to even say that, but it's true. Terrible, terrible, terrible. And also at 2:30, what about this game? Georgia and South Carolina. The tale of two halves, man. The tale of two halves. South Carolina played their A-plus game in the first half on offense and defense, leading 14-3 in Georgia's home stadium. That's unheard of. This is the #1 team in the country. For a minute there, I was like, dang, South Carolina's going to pull this off. But, yeah, like I said, tale of two halves. Second half, Georgia played their A+ game, and Carolina played like their D- game. It just looked like two different ball games. First half, South Carolina won and dominated. Second half, Georgia won and dominated. I mean, you see the score right here. South Carolina didn't even score a point in the second half. And I think a lot of people are going to overreact to this game, but to me, there's nothing to overreact to. South Carolina, when they're playing their best, we saw it last year and we saw it in the first half. They can beat anybody, literally. South Carolina is just a streaky team, and it's a team that nobody wants to play if, and this is a big if, they're hot. I stated that in the offseason. You don't want to play this South Carolina team and Spencer Rattler's rolling and they're giving him some time to pass. But this is what makes Kirby Smart so great. I think he takes this from Nick Saban. His halftime adjustments. In the first half, it seemed like the defense, they was on their heels. In the second half, they was like, no. We're dictating what you do on offense. They was more aggressive on defense in the second half, and they was way more aggressive on offense. Look, I don't know what they were trying to do on offense in the first half, but that just wasn't pretty. Second half, much better. And with Carson Beck, we saw this. He's not a guy. If you're going to have Carson Beck in there, you don't need to throw swing passes, tunnel screens. No. You got to let him throw the ball down the field. That's his strong suit, and he played a pretty good game. I personally still think Georgia's Georgia. If you want to overreact to this, you can do your thing. In my humble opinion, I thought it was a solid win. To be trailing at halftime by 11 points and win the game by 10 points, there's something to be said about that resiliency. I was impressed with how they bounced back, really was. If I was a Georgia fan, I'd be happy. You got to be mature enough to admit we didn't have our best stuff in the first half, and we fixed it at halftime, and look what happened. At least for me, that's how I'm going to look at it. Moving ahead here, there's only two more games we're going to talk, or actually three more games we're going to talk about. Tennessee and Florida, because that's the big game that we previewed. Colorado State, and Texas and Wyoming. First things first, what about this? They called Matt crazy. Matt, you're picking Florida to upset Tennessee? What's wrong with you? Florida's trash. Blah, blah, blah. Shut up. I told you after week 1 I'm going on the redemption tour. Give me my credit and respect. I called this upset. I called it. I said, hey, man, I got a gut feeling. Florida, they're going to beat Tennessee. And I was right. Feels good to call an upset like this because make no mistakes about it. Not many people were picking Florida in this game. And I understand why. I even stated this and I still believe it. Tennessee has a better head coach and the better overall team. They should win this game, but that's not how sports work. Just because you should win a game doesn't mean you will win a game. I think the storyline to this game is relatively simple. I hate to be boring here, but Florida just outplayed Tennessee from start to finish. It wasn't even a game. When the score was 26-7, I was like, yeah, it's over. And it was over. Florida was just on cruise control in the second half. They were just playing not to lose. And if I was a Tennessee fan, I'd be extremely worried because it's not like Graham Mertz went out here and sliced and diced you up. He only had 166 passing yards. This was a game where Florida was like, yeah, we're just going to let our defense do their thing, get a couple turnovers, and we're going to rely on the run game, and that's all they did. The way Florida beat you, that's what would have me panicking. Because you know what they did, and you couldn't do this last year with Hendon Hooker. They said, all right, we're going to let Joe Milton try to beat us, and if he can beat us, then we'll try. Well, guess what? They didn't have to try because Milton couldn't beat them. Joe Milton is not that guy. I told Tennessee fans this in the offseason. You know who I would start at quarterback? Nico Imaleva. It's a kid I've been covering since he was in 10th grade. Nico Imaleva is better than Joe Milton. Don't care what any of you say. All these people that try to say, oh, Joe Milton can throw the ball 89 yards. I don't care. That doesn't even matter. I don't understand the hype with that. Middle school, JV, high school, college, and NFL football is about how accurate you can be from 5 yards to 25 yards. That's it. You don't even have to be an accurate 50-yard passer to be a great quarterback. You know why? Because how many 50-yard passes are you actually going to throw throughout the season? Maybe 20. You're going to have at max 2 or 3 passes that travel over 40, 45 yards in the air during a game. That's it. For the most part and for the vast majority of the game, you're going to be throwing 5 to 20, 25-yard passes. That's it. And guess what? Joe Milton is not very accurate. We've seen that. And also, he doesn't read defenses as well as Hendon Hooker. And to go along with that, when you can't run the ball, you only had 100 total rushing yards, 30 carries, 100 yards, averaging 3.3 a carry. You're not going to win on the road, especially in Gainesville. The storyline of this game is Tennessee's offense is not very good. They're not. The defense is what it is. You can say they've slightly improved. I guess that'd be generous, but whatever. That's not the storyline. Storyline is offense couldn't score points. Period. The end. No need to overtalk about this or overhype it up anymore. Big win for Florida. If I was a Florida fan, I'd be feeling pretty dang good about this team. I know the Utah game didn't go how you wanted it to, but you got to understand, you played terrible in that game. With the way this defense is playing for Florida, with the way the running back play is, Graham Mertz, he's looking like one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC. Things are looking bright, and I can't believe I'm saying that about Florida. Big time win, big time win. And last but not least, we got to talk about Texas and Wyoming. I'm not going to talk about this too much, but the reason I'm bringing it up is because I think we gave Texas too much credit, and this goes hand in hand with Alabama. My biggest takeaway from this Texas-Wyoming game and the Alabama-South Florida game is Texas isn't really that good. Alabama is just really bad. The reason we gave Texas so much credit for that Bama win is because, hey, I mean, we think Bama is one of the best teams in the country, right? Well, now after watching what Bama did against USF and watching Texas struggle with Wyoming, I'm like, yeah, I don't think Texas is a top 5 team. Or actually, I have them as a top 5 team, but what I'm trying to say, I don't think they're like an elite team quite just yet. I wouldn't throw them in the conversation of Georgia and Michigan. So I am going to pull off a little of Texas because, dude, they really struggled in this game. They really did. The score's deceiving. It was way closer than this. Guys, at the end of the fourth quarter, it was tied 10-10. I'm telling you, man, Texas isn't as good as we think. Alabama's worse than we originally thought. That's all there is to it. And last but not least, we got Colorado. Coach Prime Time, Colorado State. I got some good news and bad news. Which one do you want first? Well, let's start with the bad news first. I will not be talking about this game in this video. Sorry, I'm not sorry. But the good news is we're going to talk about it all throughout this week, so stay tuned. Because I have so much to say about this game, I don't just want to give it a small recap of 2 to 3, 4 minutes. I think it deserves its entirely separate video, so come on back to the channel for that. We will talk about that tomorrow, and yeah, that's all there is to it for week 3. But hold on. Don't click off. I got something important to say. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Well, we're not getting too far ahead of ourselves. It's the next week up. Week 4. Woo! I don't know. Go to your ESPN app. Go to your ESPN app. Check out this slate of games. We have, I think it's 6 to 7 top 25 matchups. We got a top 10 matchup in the little bro Ohio State, Notre Dame. We got Oregon State, Washington State, LSU, Arkansas. And oh yeah, I can't forget to mention Ole Miss, the Lane Train in Alabama, Colorado and Oregon, UCLA and Utah. Man, and oh yeah, I almost forgot about this game. Florida State, the Seminoles, and Clemson. I don't want to get too excited, but that might be a legendary week. I can't wait for next week's recap because we're going to find out a lot about these teams, especially in that Notre Dame Ohio State game and the Florida State Clemson game. I'm looking forward to those. And obviously, Oregon and Colorado. What a week 3 was, and week 4 is going to be even better. I'm curious. Let me know your thoughts down below. But Robert,